Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your Vibe mentor. Welcome to Monday Magic Intuitive Energy Reading, where I offer you my take on the current energies, kind of give a recap of last week, and give you some suggestions or some advice on what's being delivered to me in this moment on how we can navigate things going forward. So, the goal of this is really just to remind you that you are not alone. All too often, we can feel like we are somehow a man on an island all on our own and the only one experiencing these challenges or level up opportunities in life. And so when we can hear from someone else, oh, hey, I also experienced that, it really can help to remember we're all in this together. So last week was pretty interesting. I'm happy to report generally pretty good energy, which is nice. We had some pretty low level geomagnetic activity just about all week last week. We were pretty consistently at a KP4, which is unusual. There's usually, peaks and valleys. We usually kind of go down. In the KP index chart, but we were pretty consistently low level activated, which is very interesting because usually when you get into the KP5 and 6 and above, it's pretty intense. I noticed that there was a couple days where I just kind of felt like, the energy is really interesting today. Let me go check, and sure enough, there was another just at slight elevation. We kind of hovered around that KP4 measure most of the week. So the sun's coming out, which is nice. um, Lots of M-class solar flares pretty consistently, at least one a day, almost every day last week, 2 and 3 sometimes in a day. So very interesting how, and I'll bring in the new moon here too, how we had just this kind of sustained intensity, minor intensity, and yet it was still pretty positive. The new moon was almost undetectable, which was interesting. I remember on the 14th feeling like, hey, isn't today supposed to be a new moon? I didn't really notice anything different, and that could potentially be because we had sustained minor intensity most of the week. But in general, the moon felt pretty soft relative to most new moons, almost undetectable, which was really interesting. But as far as this interesting energy we've been working with almost all week for pretty much 7 days straight now, there's been time distortions, sort of feeling like we have more time, very expansive feeling. There's a heightened feeling. It's an elevation feeling that can come with sort of dizziness or not quite wooziness, but just a feeling of vertigo, almost kind of like a whoa, well, like a wobbly kind of feeling. Um, Something I noticed in particular yesterday, especially heightened emotions, both positive and negative. So it was almost like, if you look at something that you don't care for, it felt more undesirable than it typically would. Or if I saw, some beautiful cranes grazing in a field, it was just so beautiful, right? Everything just was like amplified. And I really noticed, which is something we'll get into in a minute, really notice the emotions, and they were prominent, they stood out, and they felt like they took on a life of their own, which again I will explain in a minute, but they, in a way, they did. There was also a lot of fatigue. The body was tired, the body was hungry, extra hungry. Yesterday I was hearing from some on Saturday as well. There's been lingering cold-like symptoms over the last week or so, not really moving into a full-blown cold, but maybe a little bit of a runny nose or a temporary sore throat, or even some tummy troubles. This is again persistent from the week prior, where it just really feels like the solar plexus and is purging, right, letting go. And again, I do notice typically with the moons that the body responds or is more sensitive, or there's maybe some swelling or inflammation or things of that nature. And again, it was more so sustained throughout the week and not necessarily related just to the moon, which I found interesting. So kind of what's coming. This is going to be an interesting week. We do have the equinox on the 23rd. So happy fall equinox. September 23rd, 2023 is a very interesting date because there are a lot of people saying a lot of different things, which I am not going to say I have a preference or a belief in one or the other. But there have been many, way too many for me to cover right now. I would suggest you just do a YouTube search for September 23rd, 2023. If you're really curious, it could be fear provoking. So I'm not a proponent of diving into those theories or fear tactics. But if you must know, there is a video out there that will highlight for you all of the different TV shows, movies, video games, music, songs, just about every possible type of media that you could imagine has in some way referenced September 23rd, 2023. And so I'll just give you the high level so you know, you don't have to go look for it out of sheer curiosity. But some people are saying, an asteroid will come, and some people say it's the rapture. Other people say it's the equinox. Other people say it's Saturn conjunct the moon in the U.S. Sibley chart. Some people say that it could be extremely positive. It could be the flash, it could be the event. So lots of different theories. And a lot of them can create fear if we're not careful. So I'm not a proponent of anything that's going to create fear. We are like computer programs are like sponges. We absorb everything. We are creators. The more of us that anticipate something, we will end up creating it. So you really want to use your creative powers wisely. Choose consciously what goes into the program, so as within, so without. What are you going to create? Make sure that you're only giving your focus and attention to the things that you want to create. There is also the Walk for the World being organized by Joe Dispenza's organization, which is not specific to a location. So if you go to their website, I will post a link below, because if you go to the wrong website that looks very similar, you will see something you don't want to see. I can't even explain it. It's that what would you say, inappropriate. But this Walk for the World is beautiful. Many conscious beings are planning walks. There likely is something local to you or close to you that you could travel to, where groups of people are just coming together to take a walk for the world to try to generate positive energy around this date. So there's that. And somehow in this transition into the future energy, something that I've experienced over this past week also seems relevant. And it's this sort of question of like, where am I at? I have found myself driving down the road, and it's not just like, oh yeah, where am I going? But more of a feeling of there's things shifting and changing. And this kind of, I think it, now as I start to explain it, it feels very much like that vertigo kind of feeling. It's moving between worlds, or moving between timelines, or moving between levels of consciousness, right? Because timelines and dimensions, all that is just perspective, right? It's just our perception and where we're at. Am I feeling happy and joyful? Am I feeling sad, right? Those are dimensions or timelines, if you will. I get kind of hung up on the language, because someone who is driven by science might really get hung up on that. And it's all real. It just really depends on how you choose to describe it, right? So this feeling of, where am I at? Is this real? Is this solid? Is it shifting and changing? Will it be this way tomorrow? And obviously fall equinox is all about shifts and changes, right? The winds of change are blowing, right? And so it can be common at this time of year to feel this questioning of what's solid, what am I letting go of, what is leaving, what is coming, how long will this stay? So I think in general, it's not just the time of year, but the energy that is available to us right now. So if you're experiencing that, you are not alone. Yeah, and I've also had a couple of thoughts that came to me. And if you are an intuitive person, or you have received, right, there's a difference between going out, using your brain to go out and find, you're seeking a solution, seeking an answer, looking for something. And so you go out and get it yourself, versus a thought or an intuitive message or something that comes to you. It just drops into your brain. You didn't go look for it. It just came. And that has happened quite a few times over the last couple of weeks, as it relates to a feeling of things won't be this way much longer. as an example, packing lunches for my kids. It's not awesome. I reframe and I see the positive and what a beautiful gift it is to be the mother of these beautiful little beings who I get to nourish and feed and make sure that they have yummy, healthy, whole foods and organic foods for their lunches, right? But I'm tired. It's 9 o'clock at night. I want to go rest. I don't like making lunches all the time. So anyways, point being, this was an example of that moment of thinking, oh, I gotta make lunches. And then this thought kind of dropping in of like, it won't be that way much longer. And then I think I also had it as it related to getting the kids up early, because I would much rather my children wake up with the sun and wake up naturally and finish their REM cycles and things of that nature. And again, I had that thought, it won't be that way much longer. So it really feels like something is coming. Again, not to create fear, because everything is always happening for us, not to us, which means for the best possible outcome. So whatever is coming, even if it doesn't look awesome right away, it's still going to be good. I will say this, I had this similar feeling in 2020 before they announced the COVID lockdowns. So I'm not saying that that's what it is. It just feels similar. Who knows? Again, we can all trust that this is not going to be an exact replay of what it was, that we are no longer the same people. We are no longer in the same place as we were. And a lot of people have grown and shifted and changed. And so how we will deal with whatever is coming is going to be different than how we have dealt with things in the past. So it's important to remember that. So some of the recommendations, how do we work with this? What is the advice from the universe on how to best navigate this next week or whatever is coming? I have been receiving very strongly for the last couple of weeks, and I keep meaning to deliver this message to you, and it slipped my mind every time. So we'll trust that today's the day it needs to come out. But I have been receiving very, very, very strongly frequent reminders to increase your strength. Now, that's a pretty broad statement. I personally work out, lift weights. I do something called body pump. If you're looking for something that's choreographed to music with weights, it's a lot of fun. It works for both men and women. It's excellent at working out all of the different muscle groups in 1 hour. And it's fun and it's really, really effective. So when I hear strength, of course, I think muscle, right? But I'm also receiving the sense that it's more than just muscle, that it's diet, that it's rest, that it's mental capacity, that it's trauma healing, that it's emotion, understanding emotion and understanding how to wield your emotion, understanding your power and authority over your sovereign being and your ability to take your life back. And so taking your power back, healing, they're all kind of intertwined in this increase your strength. So I get the sense that whatever is coming is going to require us to be healthy and strong, able-bodied and minded is coming to mind, right? So something about really managing our thoughts and really being conscious of our emotions and understanding the dynamics between the thoughts and the emotions and our manifestation mechanism, how that works. I've said it many times before, but for anyone who is new here, your beliefs, so your subconscious program is where these beliefs are housed. And from a belief, you choose your thoughts. From your thoughts, you create chemistry in your body. That chemistry in your body creates an emotion, which is a frequency or a vibration that emanates from you and then becomes your attraction point. And so people, when they are studying manifestation, can feel very frustrated because it's like, positive thoughts only, positive thoughts only. That's great. That's cognitive. That's conscious thought. That's prefrontal cortex, intelligent executive functioning. That's different than limbic subconscious thoughts. And that cannot be controlled consciously. That's why we have to do something like trauma spotting to be able to find the traumas that are in the body, reprogram the subconscious so that you're no longer triggered and activated and reactive. You can actually be proactive in the thoughts that you choose and the emotions that you generate or that you allow, and then therefore the creations that you are going to create and draw into your life. Right. So that was a bit of a tangent, but it's important to note. I have a whole lot more information on that. Speaking of which, I am doing another free 3-day manifesting abundance through your life purpose session coming up in October. So there'll be a link below to join that. Check that out. It's free. It's all about how to do what I just talked about. Right. Okay. So I love this one. Learn to wield your magic wand of emotions. This is part of increasing your strength, right? Is emotion is the source of creation, essentially. This is, you can feel it. You can feel the emanation. You can feel the vibration, right? Imagine you're driving and someone cuts you off, and you have that response. That's a fight or flight response. That's a nervous system activation. That's an emotion. There's a chemistry in the body that causes you to feel and respond in that way. There is creation that comes from that. So learn to wield the magic wand of your emotions. And I will be doing some more information or more videos on this, offering more information. But emotions are our source of creation. So it is really, really critically important that you heal the trauma that is hiding in your body so that you can reprogram your subconscious, so that you can consciously control your emotions and not be reactive and triggered or hiding and isolating for fear of how the world will respond to you. All right. This is part of taking our power back. It's also really important and helpful to remember to be the observer. And if you hear that, be the observer, you're like, yeah, I know that already, but you're not practicing watching the watcher regularly all throughout your day, every single day, then you have not fully embodied the knowing of this understanding. Watching the watcher is so critically important to controlling thoughts, really, because you can't actually control the thoughts. I'm sure you've struggled with this. We wrestle with these thoughts. How can I control my thoughts? They are effortlessly turned off when you become the watcher. So as you watch the watcher, I like to say watching the watcher because I think being the observer is overplayed and people kind of, yeah, I know that already. Versus we are not our emotions. We are not our past. We are not our thoughts. We know all these things. What are we? We are our consciousness, the awareness of our being and of our thoughts. So you can actually watch your consciousness, right? You can observe your consciousness. This is what it means to me to watch the watcher, right? Find that part of you that sees the thoughts happening and be present with, or pay attention to, or cast your focus and gaze onto the consciousness. And that is what it means to be the observer, right? And that is what will allow us to choose our emotions consciously, because we have the monkey mind and the hamster wheel of trauma brain just running all day long about all the problems and just looking at everything outside of ourselves. Then we are reactive and we are spewing our power everywhere. You could call it a leak, right? We want to be able to choose our emotions consciously by being the watcher. And then start to notice when you have an emotion, you have deemed these thoughts important. You have given them a meaning. You have assigned weight to these thoughts. Therefore, the emotion will grow. So start to notice the emotions that come, maybe reactively at first, but just start to practice watching and start to see what am I growing right now through this emotion? What is increasing in its power and authority in my life? Right. And we want to change that consciously and learn to stop it when it's not something we want to grow, and then learn to redirect, right? So again, another note here, the winds of change are here, and we want to start to allow and work with this equinox energy to leverage the power of letting go of these old habits, letting go of these old thought patterns, letting go of trauma, whatever it is that is in you that is holding you back, right? And so anytime you find yourself saying, I want to do this, but I can't. I like this. It's the yeah, but. Look for the yeah, but. That's your block, right? That's the belief. There's a trauma there. There's some healing that needs to be there's a wound that needs to be healed. It doesn't matter if you call it a trauma. Trauma spotting works for all of these blocks, and reprogramming the subconscious and all that. So remember, in the purge, in the letting go, I love the analogy of the trees, right? They don't hold and grip onto their leaves for fear that there won't be leaves in the spring. They effortlessly and beautifully let go of the leaves. And what happens next year? They get even more, because in the purge, nature abhors a vacuum, which means when you let go of stuff, maybe it's emotional stuff, it's physical stuff, the thought habit stuff, we make space for something new, bigger, and better. And so nature abhors a vacuum is a universal law, which means when there is a hole, it will be filled. So we want to make the wholes. This is why letting go is a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be painful, right? So also important to notice the harvest. This is harvest season. Have gratitude for what has happened. What did you accomplish since the spring solstice, summer solstice, spring equinox, right? What have you accomplished over the last year, 6 months? Really look at that with gratitude and remember the highest vibration, the highest frequency. Gratitude's up there, love is even higher, but authenticity, right? So don't tell yourself a story. Oh, I'm so grateful for this thing. Be real. Be really, really real. I am so grateful that I get to say, I never, in my 44 years of existence, prior to the last couple of years, did I ever imagine I would say, I love my life. I can, honest to God, say, I love my life for the first time in my entire life. And it is only because of trauma healing that I can say that. But I can tell you the emanation of gratitude and awe and appreciation and authenticity that comes and love that comes with that statement is so powerful. And that is an emotion that is pouring through my heart right now and opening up beautiful, beautiful things, more life that I love even more. And so I encourage you to really leverage the season, the energies, the understandings, your healing ability, your power, your authority to create a life that you love. It is absolutely possible. If I, at my weakest point, at my lowest point, 16 years old, abandoned by my parents emotionally, I physically left, but they didn't come get me. Living in my boyfriend's trailer off of Kool-Aid and white bread with no sugar, mind you, could not be any more broke. To a beautiful, beautiful family, my purpose, my mission, a husband who loves me. Unbelievable. And you can have it all too. This is not just for the special ones. All humanity is equipped with the ability to heal, become whole again, take your power back, and create the life of your desires. It is safe to trust the guidance of your soul's desires, not ego desires, soul's desires. It is possible. They were put on your heart for a reason to guide you towards your purpose. You are here, perfectly imperfect for your purpose. And the divine wants you to be happy, wants you to love your life, because in that, the tide rises all boats and you help raise the collective as well. That is complete. I love you, my friends. Sending you so much love and gratitude. And I will see you on the next video. Have a good week. Namaste.